Welcome to the Self-Love Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Melanie Monaco, and I hold certifications in intuitive eating, integrative nutrition, feminine energy healing, yoga, and more. My mission is simple: to help women transform their bodies and lives with self-love. I've worked with women all over the world and learned a lot along the way, and I am so excited to share it all with you here. This is a wellness-centric, motivational, and transformational podcast that will give you the tools you need to cultivate more self-love through nutrition, movement, mindset, personal development, spirituality, and beyond. I'm so grateful to have you here. Now let's do this. On today's episode, I invited my client, Julie Rose Romano, on to the podcast because she is an incredible artist. She's a fiber artist, and her work is inspired by nature, music, and literature. She worked as a fashion designer, but then branched out and started her own business, Sparrow Yarns, where she offers hand-dyed yarn and beautiful, amazing woven art pieces. She also enjoys foraging, meditation, and snuggling with her two cats, Coco and Murphy. And Julie just graduated the Self-Love Lifestyle Signature Program recently. It was such a joy to take her through the program. This transformation she went through was so incredible, and she talks all about it, all about how it affected everything from her health and her mindset to her confidence in her business. And I'm just so excited for you to hear all about this incredible woman. So stay tuned to hear from Julie Rose Romano.
I hand dye yarns for people who knit or crochet or weave. And then I also create handmade woven pieces for people to hang in their homes.
And they're so beautiful too.
Thank you.
I was on your Etsy shop last week looking at your most recent pieces, and they're so stunning.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I love textile work, and I've actually been friends with a number of artists who work in textiles or are inspired by textiles. And what really draws me to it is the fact that textiles were once the highest art form and very much associated with women's work traditionally. I mean, even still now there's that association. And in a world where so much of art is, when you go to museums especially, it's so much of it is done by men.
Yes.
To have this piece of art that is so interconnected with the experience of being a woman resonates really deeply with me.
Same here. I read a statistic earlier this week that only 2% of all the art sold in 2019 was art made by women.
Oh my gosh.
Which is just so boggling to me because we have such an innate store of creativity. So being able to express that through an artistic medium is so important to me.
Yeah. Well, and not only are you expressing it through the weaving that you're doing and the dyeing of the yarn, but then people are taking the yarn that you've dyed and creating their own pieces of art, whether it's weaving or just even something simple like a scarf or a hat. People are creating their own art out of your art, which I think is really cool.
Yes, I love being a step in that process. It's so exciting to me when someone says like, oh, I saw this color and I knew that I had to have it to make XYZ. That's like the ultimate compliment.
How do you come up with your colors that you create?
A lot of them are inspired by nature. I think that most of the most beautiful combinations of color or shape or texture or line can be found in nature. So I definitely look at a lot of photos of flowers and, see them in person when it's doable in terms of the season. But obviously right now it's winter here, so that's not really happening. But yeah, definitely a lot of inspiration from nature. I'm also very inspired by literature, particularly children's books. I was a children's librarian throughout my teenage years. So those are definitely very dear to my heart. And I love creating that connection for people between a character that they loved as a child or that they loved reading to their child, and something that they're then able to create.
I love that. Yeah, you actually, well, I know you found me on Instagram through like a
Mm-hmm.
hashtag, but you commented on one of my posts that was like quoting Cinderella, which
Yes,
was,
exactly.
and like not even like a super popular version of Cinderella.
No, I love fairy tales, and I was like, yes, I know that.
Did you know I like basically majored in fairy tales in college?
That's amazing.
I couldn't remember if I told you that, but yeah, at Sarah Lawrence, I studied a lot of psychology and a lot of performing arts, and poetry and writing and tons of good stuff. But the thread throughout all of it was fairy tales.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh.
I
What
know.
an
Well,
amazing thing to immerse yourself in.
it's so magical. And I mean, you know this from Women Who Run with the Wolves, but fairy tales are so psychological and archetypal and tell us so much about who we are. And
Yeah.
that's why it's always resonated with me so much. And the fact that you bring that into your work is really cool. And it's something people have been doing forever, whether they
Yeah.
realized it or not. There's always archetypes in art.
Mhm.
I love it. So how did you come up with this idea for your business, and how did you get started? Because I think there's so many people who are like, oh, I'm gonna start my Etsy business, and then it either does, like, I thought I was gonna do a macrame Etsy business years ago. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not even sure why. I just was like, that sounds like fun. But I know that it's so much hard work. And I know other people who have Etsy businesses, and they ebb and flow, but yours has been this beautiful, steady, upward track. So can you tell us a little bit about where your idea for your business came from and how you've manifested it in the past few years?
Sure. So I started dyeing yarn because I saw a tutorial on YouTube and I thought, well, that looks fun. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so I really just, purchased some undyed yarn and, a basic starter kit of dyes for like $20. And I didn't really think it was going to be something that I did as a business. It did not even occur to me when I was first starting to dye yarn. I just wanted to do it for myself as a creative outlet, because I was working in the fashion industry at the time and I was doing a lot of just staring at a screen all day, and I wanted to do something a little bit more tactile in my free time. And then I started sharing it with my friends that I was doing this, and people started asking me, like, are you going to sell these? Are you going to be able to, can we get these from you in some way? And I thought, well, okay, I guess I could do that. Like, let's make this a little self-sustaining hobby. So I opened an Etsy shop, and a year later, it had grown to the point where I had to decide whether I was going to stay at my day job and dial back Sweet Sparrow Yarns, or leave my day job and really focus on my own business. And at that point, I was kind of learning a lot about who I was and how and if the person that I know myself to be could fit into the fashion industry without feeling like I was compromising my values and just who I am. And it seemed like the right thing to do to decide to leave the fashion industry and focus on my business.
That's such a hard and brave choice. I think
Thank you.
there's so many people who will look at, entrepreneurs and business owners, small business owners, and be like, don't quit your day job. You know, the statistics are X, Y, or Z. And it can be really daunting. But I found that through talking to other business owners and in my own experience too, I found that when your business is really in alignment with your values and you're practicing self-trust, then
yes.
it's so much more manageable. And to not listen to all of those kinds of statistics and the people who are, you know, just don't understand. And like a traditional job isn't super stable either. Anything can happen at any moment. So, but it still takes some guts. So I honor the choice that you made, and it was obviously the right choice because what you're doing is so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely felt like for me, I mean, I did wait a year. I essentially worked 2 full-time jobs for that year. But for me, it did feel like I had to make that choice between a career that provided me with external stability in terms of, you know, financial and career growth in the traditional path that, you know, every few years you get promoted because you've been there for a certain amount of time. But something that was making me feel very unstable inside because it was just this constant battle between my heart and my personality versus who I was being told I needed to be in order to succeed. And money comes and money goes, but I was not able to, I wasn't able to reconcile being one person in my professional life and then someone so far the opposite in my personal life. That just was too destabilizing for me. So I'm really glad that I went with the path of perhaps a little bit less stability in terms of material goods and what, you know, our sort of traditional view of success is, but something that allows me to be myself 100% of the time.
Well, and with that, because you're being yourself and you are, you know, acting in alignment with your values, you're going to energetically just attract more abundance, is my belief system.
Yeah.
And what I've seen to be true, abundance in various forms, whether it's financial or otherwise. My husband and I have this conversation a lot because we're both business owners. And you know, I think being in the millennial generation, we all witnessed, you know, the housing market crash and so many parents and people who had quote stability lose their jobs or lose that stability. And because of that, it's like, well, if nothing is going to actually be stable, if you can't say that you're going to be with one company forever and protected forever and supported forever, then why not choose a path that you at least have pride in and control over, or even a little bit more control.
Exactly.
But I think we're all still coming around as a society to to that being more acceptable. But I see more and more people moving in this direction, and maybe it's by virtue of the like spaces and communities I'm in, but still it's so exciting. And I'm so proud of you, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So where does Sweet Sparrow come from, the name?
Well, so right now I live in a suburb of New York City, and I would, on my commute every day, I would see these sparrows just hopping along, just doing their thing, not worrying about the past, not really worrying about the future, just very much in the moment and enjoying being busy and just enjoying what they did every day. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm not a bird whisperer. I don't know if they're really enjoying it, but that was what I took from it. And I really identify with that because I'm definitely the happiest when I'm working on something that I feel passionate about. And I would say that I generally have quite a naturally peppy disposition. And I just really identified with sparrows. And then I just felt like that was the perfect name for my business. And then, of course, I like a little bit of alliteration. So I went with Sweet Sparrow, kind of also playing into that fairy tale idea of, the woodland creatures, in this sort of magical forest. So I liked the idea of the sparrow having its own sweet personality.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, a little spirit animal there.
Yeah.
How do you balance the creativity that you're creating in your business with the logistical managerial tasks of keeping everything going?
Sometimes better than others, to be honest. It's definitely something that is has been a challenge for me because I am very much creatively minded and I am less so administratively minded. But I found that for me, timing makes such a difference, because if I give myself my morning to be creative, I'm a lot more likely to be able to just get through my admin stuff in the afternoon. Whereas if I'm doing admin in the morning, by the time I get to my creative time, I feel kind of drained. And I'm naturally a morning person. So that's kind of how I balance it, is to put in my most productive hours of creativity in the morning and sort of give myself that treat. And making use of my afternoons when I'm feeling like I'm starting to wind down a little bit, to just knock out whatever I need to do as far as emails or ordering supplies, anything like that.
I love that. Yeah. Having that level of self-knowledge, I think, is so critical to balancing those two sides of your brain.
Yeah.
And having that sustained energy. So, speaking of self-knowledge, you are a graduate of the Self-Love Lifestyle program. Congratulations. Yes.
Thank you.
Julie just graduated last week, and the last 7 months, I've just seen you grow so much in so many beautiful ways, and it's been such an honor to witness your transformation, because you always do have that, what's the word I'm looking for? You're very curious about yourself, and having that level of self-curiosity so that you can gain more knowledge about yourself is so key to success in any sort of transformational journey. And it just meant that you were really following through with so much of the work in between sessions. And then you'd come to me with all of these beautiful realizations, and we'd process them together. And it was just such a joy to take you through the program. I just wanted to say that first off.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, that means so much to me. Thank you.
Yeah. But how have you integrated the self-love lifestyle practices into your life and business?
I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is that I am not my business. That is such a hard thing because, as an entrepreneur and as someone whose entire livelihood depends strictly on myself, that can be something that is very easy to get sucked into, where you feel like you have to be working every minute of every day. And, that's definitely still something that I struggle with. It's not something that is, that I think is ever going to go away completely. But I think just having the self-awareness now to say, this is your business, this isn't who you are as a human being, and you can't only take care of your business and think that's also going to take care of who you are, physically or mentally. So I think integrating a morning ritual has been absolutely vital to that in particular, because I feel like I just set myself up for success by doing that morning ritual. And it's a guarantee that no matter what else comes up during that day, I have that bit of time and space for myself, to just let myself be and let myself feel, and not be trying to accomplish something every minute.
Yeah. Yeah. That can be a definite challenge when you have your own business to like want to go, go, go and get everything done, but having that time to slow down. And as you said, you're a morning person and that's when your creative energy is flowing. So I know that that's been a really big shift for you and
Yes,
gift to yourself.
for sure.
I love that. So, what advice would you give yourself 7 months ago? Like, what would you want to say to your younger self now that you've gone through the Self Love Lifestyle program?
Oh, there's so much I wish I could say to myself, even, that relatively short time ago. I think just to have patience, which is so hard because I think our culture is so focused on instant gratification, particularly in the realm of women's, I don't even want to say women's health, because I think, we know that weight loss does not equal health for,
Mm,
those two things are not interchangeable. And I
mm-hmm.
think particularly in that realm, we're told, do this, then you can, you can have the perfect body you've always wanted in 10 days. And I, I think so much of the time that's just what we're hoping for, is just some magic thing that's going to, quote, fix us outside, and that will fix us inside. Um,
Mm,
and I think that if I could tell my younger self anything, it would be, don't fall into that trap of thinking that how you feel inside is dependent on how you look outside.
mm. Yeah. Mic drop. Yeah. This is beautiful. Absolutely. And that's amazing advice that I think I still need to hear that. And I'm sure so many people listening need to hear that. And that's something that we have to remind ourselves in a culture where worth is so tied to not just physical appearance, but what you do and the people you're with and where you are. It's so healing to be reminded that it doesn't have to be tied to those things and can just be inherent.
Yes, exactly.
What advice do you have to the listeners about your experience and journey?
I think not to be afraid to really dig deep and feel your way through um, what you're learning about yourself during the journey of finding peace with your body, because it is so ingrained in us from such a young age, um, that it's normal and acceptable and, a plot point in our lives to be dissatisfied with the way that we look, to be dissatisfied with who we are. And that's not something that you can just breeze through on your way to healing your relationship with your body and with your soul. There are painful things that come up, like realizing that, yeah, there have been people in your life who have put your value entirely in your appearance, and learning how to just feel through that instead of pushing it down or reacting with um, dismissiveness or resentment, just focusing on what you can do to let yourself feel what you need to feel and then heal from there. Um, because I don't think you can really start healing until you let yourself express how you felt about the situation. And obviously it's so much easier to just be like, oh, that person was a real jerk, or,
Mm,
you know, or to internalize it and think, oh, well, if I had looked different, that situation would have turned out differently. They would have behaved differently toward me. I would have been more worthy of love, respect, promotion, whatever the situation is. And I think just doing that emotional work is so vital. Because if you don't, it just creates this sort of blockage that you can't get past and you can't heal.
Yeah. Well, the first step in the self-love roadmap is self-forgiveness, which extends
Yes.
out to others and other parts of your life as well. And I agree. I think it's so critical to do that emotional heavy lifting. And I think that's what stops a lot of people too, because it's really easy with the body positive movement, which I love and, follow. And I think the body positive movement is really healing too. But what I think stops a lot of people is that they're just like, oh, well, this is what it is. And I'm going to stay stagnant in, a body I don't love with habits that I don't love. And, because I just accept that that's who I am. But looking at what's acceptable to you in your life and then being like, okay, you know what, this isn't acceptable to me. These habits aren't acceptable to me. I know that I'm made for more is so beautiful. But in order to get there, you have to step into that forgiveness first in order to get to the next level.
Yeah, I don't think I realized how much space that resentment and anxiety about other people's opinions of my appearance took up in my mind until I went through the self-love lifestyle program, because I'm so much more productive than I was. And I think it really is just because I don't have all that stuff clogging up my brain, popping into my mind. It feels like there's so much more room for joy and creativity when I'm not bogged down with all of that. I think, like so many people, I was searching for the thing that would fix me. And that feeling that if I could fix how I looked outside, I would be able to fix how I felt about myself. And at that particular time, that was showing up in the form of following the keto diet, which in some ways I liked. But I think it was also just reinforcing a lot of the unhealthy behaviors that I developed around food. I was tracking every single thing that I ate, and did not go above 20 grams of carbs every day, which is like nothing. That's such a tiny amount of carbs that it was like the thought of a banana was like, oh, I couldn't possibly.
Man.
And that was just taking up so much space in my brain. And I felt like I was constantly saying both to others and to myself, oh, I can't eat that. I can't do that. I can't go there because I'll want to eat that. And, it felt like it was starting to take over my life in a way. And I was very unhappy with the way that I looked. And I was unhappy with the way that I felt in my skin, which was causing issues for me in terms of my relationship. I found myself starting to avoid sex because I thought, like, I don't want to be naked. Like, what if someday my partner looks at me and suddenly sees what I look like? Which is, of course, like, he's not blind. He can see what I look like. But I just felt like, oh my God, he's going to realize that I'm not beautiful. And that was such a heartbreaking thing. I'm getting a little emotional just thinking about the version of myself that thought that. Yeah, so that was largely where I was. And I felt like, and I think a lot of women feel like this, that my life was going to be generally pretty good, but that I would always have body image issues, and that I would always have this sort of ball and chain of dissatisfaction with my body and with my appearance, and trying to make up for that in other ways.
Yeah, that's such a hard place to be in, and that so resonates with me too, because I've definitely existed in that mind space too. But obviously now things are different for both of
Yes.
us.
Yay.
So how has that transformed for you in the different areas you spoke about?
I think the number one way is seeing my body as my home. It's not this burden. It's not something that's constantly in need of being changed. It's where I live. And that has been so freeing in so many ways. I no longer am eating keto. I eat mostly pescatarian. And honestly, I hesitate to even call it that, because that makes it sound like, oh, there are these rules that I follow, and there really aren't. If I find that my body is telling me that I need a particular food, then I honor that, and that is a really healthy place to be for me, and very, very different from how I lived most of my life. And so at the time before I started, I was also dealing with hypothyroidism, which left me very, very tired a lot of the time. And I was, as a part of that, in addition to PCOS, I was also not having a menstrual cycle. I had not had one in almost a year at that point, which was really a bizarre thing to experience, as someone in their late 20s, to suddenly find myself so disconnected from my sexuality in that way, and from my just feeling like a woman. Like, that was a really hard thing to come to terms with. And now, through intuitive eating, my thyroid levels came back in a normal range for the first time in 3.5 years, which was amazing. And going along with that, I have so much more energy. I just feel so much more like myself. And I also have a regular menstrual cycle again, which is amazing. And every month now, when I feel those cramps starting up, I'm like, yes.
Oh.
So that's just been so exciting. And as far as how it's impacted my relationship, I'm so much more present with my boyfriend, because I'm no longer busying myself with thinking, oh, how do I look from this angle? Oh, maybe I need to stick my chin out more so that I don't get a double chin. It's because that is exhausting and not sexy. Like, that takes you right out of the mood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just being able to have my body express my emotions physically has been such a joy, and just such a different experience, and it's brought us so much closer.
That's so magical. All of that just is making me so happy, and the fact that you trusted me enough to allow me to help facilitate that transformation for you means so much. And again, I know I've said this many times in this call already, but that it was such a joy to take you through the program, and the fact that you've experienced so many beautiful things because of it and because of the work that you put into it is humbling and so beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. It's just, I never thought I could get to this point, honestly. Like, if you had asked me a year ago if I thought I would ever wake up in the morning and not look in the mirror and poke and pinch and look at my body as this problem, I would not have been able to imagine that there could be a life for me where I don't do that. And now it's become my life, and it's just amazing.
Yay. Congratulations, Julie.
Thank you.
So, final question. What does self-love mean to you?
I think self-love means doing what is best for you and tapping into the internal wisdom that allows you to determine what that is. Because we are given so many messages about what is best for us, and there are so many different voices from media, from social media, from, you know, even doctors being told to us as what is best for us. And in a lot of instances, that's not actually the case. So I think self-love is really looking inward at yourself and letting go of the preconceived notion of who you think you are, where you think your worth lies, and then operating from that inner wisdom.
Yes, that's so empowering too when you're able to get to that place.
Yes, it really is. And just the amount of doubt that that has taken out of my life is amazing, because I trust sort of my gut instinct so much more now. Like, if I find myself thinking, I don't think this is a good whatever it is, if it's not a good relationship situation, and, you know, not just romantic relationships, but family relationships and friendships, if your gut feeling is, this is not serving me and this is not furthering my growth, my creativity, my mental health, having that certainty to let it go, or to try to adjust the relationship in a way that it is a positive for you, instead of going around and around in circles and wondering, oh, am I making too much of this? Is this normal? Being able to trust yourself to know what is and is not okay, and what is and is not a positive experience that helps you grow, is so liberating.
Yeah, and it totally will change your whole life.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to chat with me for this. It's been so wonderful to hear all about your business and your experience, and I'm sure that lots of people are going to want to check out your beautiful and magical yarns and weaving.
Thank you.
Yeah, so how can people do that? Where can people find you?
You can find me as Sweet Sparrow Yarns on Etsy, or you can find me on Instagram as Sweet Sparrow Knits. And through my Instagram profile, there is also a link for commissioned woven pieces. If someone is in the market for something very special and customized, I really love doing those. So that's kind of where you can find the links to everything, is through my Instagram profile.
And you're offering a little bit of a special for the self-love lifestyle community, I
I
hear.
am. Yes, I am. You heard right.
A little bird told me.
Yes, so I am offering 25% off any in-stock or custom woven piece by using the coupon code SELF-LOVE if you are checking out via Etsy, or just by mentioning in the notes that you heard about me through the Self-Love Lifestyle if you are interested in commissioning a custom piece.
Yay. And you have your own podcast too, right?
I do. I am Sweet Sparrow Knits on YouTube, where I talk about what I am knitting, what I'm weaving. I also talk a lot about what books I'm reading, and just some kind of general chat. I like to keep it pretty informal over there. So if you're looking to just have a little chatty time and look at some knitting, then that's the place to go.
Aw. Yay. Well, I am so grateful for your time, and I'm just grateful to know you, Julie. You're such a joy and
Oh
a
my
goddess.
Oh, thank you. Right back at you.
All right. Well, thank you again. I'm going to, stop the recording.
Okay.
If you felt inspired or moved by what you heard today, then be sure to leave a rating and review. I would love to hear what you're vibing with so I can create more incredible content to help you transform your life with self-love. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at The Self-Love Lifestyle, on Facebook at The Self-Love Lifestyle, and you can also sign up for my mailing list and find free downloads, resources, and more at melaniemonaco.com. That's MELANIEMONACO.com. And be sure to subscribe to the Self-Love Lifestyle podcast so you never miss an episode. I'll see you next week, my love.